She entered the courtroom slowly, her hand cradling her swollen belly. Bruises still marked her arms. Her eyes, though exhausted, burned with something fierce, something final. The courtroom wasn't quiet out of respect. It was quiet because no one knew what to expect. She had no lawyer, no money, no family support, just a story they didn't believe, until she stood and told them what happened. Mariah Lane was 26. She worked 2 jobs, waitress by day, cleaner by night. She didn't complain. She was saving for nursing school. That's when she met Darren Hayes. He was charming, kind, the kind of man who paid attention, too much attention. At first, it felt like love. Then it felt like being watched. Then it felt like prison. 6 months in, Mariah's friends started drifting away. Not because they wanted to, because Darren made it difficult. He said things like, "Why do you need them when you have me? They're just jealous. You don't need to work, stay home and rest." Soon, Mariah was jobless, dependent, and pregnant. She had no idea he'd been tracking her phone, no idea he'd installed a camera in the bedroom, no idea the man she trusted would become the man who nearly ended her. It started with words, then slammed doors, then bruises covered by long sleeves. She stayed silent because he said, "If you leave, I'll find you. If you talk, no one will believe you. I'll take the baby. You'll have nothing." One night, 7 months pregnant, Mariah tried to leave. He caught her halfway down the stairs. She woke up in the hospital. The doctor said she was lucky. The baby was still alive, but barely. A nurse named Shelley noticed something. The way Mariah flinched, how she kept asking about when Darren would arrive. So she whispered, "You're not the first. You won't be the last. But you can be the one who ends it." Mariah didn't answer, but the fire in her eyes began to return. The next day, when Darren came to the hospital, she was gone. With the help of a local women's shelter, Mariah hid for 2 months. She changed her number, stayed off social media, filed for a restraining order, prepared for court, and gave birth alone to a baby girl she named Promise, because that's what she whispered to her daughter that night. "I promise, I'll never let him hurt you." She stayed awake for weeks, sleeping in short spurts while holding Promise to her chest. She kept the lights on at night. She listened for knocks, sirens, footsteps, but none came. Each day, she grew a little stronger. Each hour, Promise grew a little bigger. 2 weeks later, Darren filed a case for full custody. He claimed she was unstable, irresponsible, hiding the child. The court date was set. She had no lawyer. No one would take her case pro bono. But she had something else, a plan. She reached out to Shelley, the nurse. She emailed recordings she had made. She spent her nights writing everything, dates, times, exact words. She knew she had to make her voice undeniable. Her story wasn't just survival anymore. It was evidence. It was truth. The judge asked her to speak. Mariah stood, holding her child in one arm. Her voice was calm. She described every incident. Then she placed 3 items on the table: a hidden voice recorder, photos from the hospital, a flash drive. She said, "I didn't come here to beg. I came here to prove what he did, what I survived, and why my daughter deserves better." The judge nodded. The evidence played. The courtroom went still. Even Darren looked afraid. The audio captured a chilling moment. "You think anyone's going to care about you, Mariah? You're nothing without me. I made you." Gasps filled the courtroom. Mariah didn't flinch. She had already lived through worst. The photos showed the bruises. The flash drive contained security camera footage from the hospital hallway, capturing Darren yelling. If this story moves you, take a moment, like the video, subscribe to hear more voices like Mariah's, and share so no one stays silent in pain. Drop a comment if you believe Promise deserves a future free of fear. After a long silence, the judge said, "This court does not take accusations lightly. But this is not accusation. It is proof." He granted Mariah full custody. Darren was arrested for assault, stalking, and attempted kidnapping. Mariah wept.
Not out of fear, but relief. For the first time in a year, she felt safe. The judge ordered protection. The police escorted her to her car. The news crews tried to approach her. She kept her head down. But one camera caught her whispering something to her baby. "We did it." She didn't go home quietly. Mariah started a podcast called Promise Kept. She told her story, invited others to do the same. Within 6 months, her podcast had over 1 million listeners. Women called in from all over the country, sharing, healing, rising. Mariah didn't just speak, she sparked a fire. By the end of the year, her story was being used in training seminars for first responders. Universities invited her to speak. Laws were being proposed in her name. She became more than just a survivor. She became a symbol. One caller said, "Because of you, I left last night. I packed up my daughter and ran. I didn't think I could until I heard your voice." Mariah cried with her, not because of pain, but because she finally knew what freedom sounded like. Months later, a documentary filmmaker interviewed Mariah. They asked, "What made you speak when so many stay silent?" She looked into the camera and said, "I was beaten, broken, pregnant, but I wasn't done. Because if I stayed quiet, my daughter would grow up thinking pain was normal. I chose to speak so she'd never have to suffer." Those words went viral. People across the world shared the clip with one sentence: "This woman didn't just survive, she changed the game." Don't let this story stop here. Like if you believe every voice matters. Comment "Promise Kept" to show support. Subscribe for more real, emotional justice stories, and share this video because someone out there is waiting to hear that they're not alone. Tag someone who needs strength today. 3 years later, Promise walked across a stage to receive a preschool diploma. Mariah clapped the loudest. She had just finished her nursing degree. She now worked at the same hospital where she once lay broken, but now she was saving lives. The same nurse, Shelley, worked beside her. When asked how she did it, Mariah smiled. One step, one scar, one promise at a time. Justice gave her back her voice. She used it to build a new world, not just for herself, but for every girl watching and every woman still whispering in the dark. One fall evening, Mariah received an unexpected letter. She had been nominated for the National Human Rights Courage Award. At the ceremony, she stood at the podium, holding her daughter's hand. She looked into the audience and said, "This isn't just my story. It's the story of every woman who didn't get the chance to tell hers. I stand here today because someone believed me, because someone listened, and because I chose not to disappear." The standing ovation lasted almost 5 minutes, and when Promise hugged her on stage, she whispered, "You kept your promise, Mama." Mariah smiled, because now the world was listening. In the years that followed, Mariah's influence only grew. She co-founded an initiative called Safe Haven Voices, aimed at training emergency room workers and educators to recognize subtle signs of abuse. It expanded across 5 states. Thousands of women found help, shelter, and resources through the network. She was invited to a private roundtable at the United Nations to speak on domestic violence prevention in low-income neighborhoods. She spoke clearly. It's not enough to tell victims to leave. We must give them somewhere to go, someone to trust, and a reason to believe they'll be heard. Her speech made global headlines, and that night, Promise, now 8 years old, stayed up to watch her mother on TV. The girl who had once survived in silence now watched her hero shape the world. If this story moved your heart, don't scroll away. Like this video, subscribe to Honor Survivors, comment "Hope Rises" if you believe change is possible, and please share this story. Because every time it's seen, another voice finds its strength. Tag someone who needs strength today. 10 years from the day she entered that courtroom, Mariah walked back into it, but this time not as a victim, as an expert witness in a new case, helping another young woman stand where she once stood. She took the stand, nodded to the trembling girl in front of her, and smiled. "You're not alone. You never were." In that moment, the cycle didn't just break, it reversed. Because when one voice rises, others follow. Mariah didn't just survive abuse. She became the storm that tore silence apart and built a new world, one promise at a time.